All right, today we've got Brett Gillen joining us. He is the CEO and founder of Elite Entrepreneurs. Brett, tell us a little bit more about you.
Yeah, thanks, Christina. It's awesome to be here. Love what you guys do at Keap and the opportunity to spend a little time with you and share some insight that I hope will be helpful for business owners. What we do at Elite Entrepreneurs is pretty specific to seven-figure business owners. So those businesses that get their thing off the ground and it's growing and they've learned, and this is really appropriate for many of your Keap community. They've learned how to do their sales and marketing, or maybe they're learning how to do sales and marketing with Keap's help, and they're automating a bunch of stuff. And so they figured out how to get and serve clients, patients, customers, whoever it is that they sell to, and then they start to grow their team and they've got 6, 8, 10 people and they're crossing over that $1 million mark. And there's something fascinating that happens around that mark. It's not necessarily tied to the revenue as much as it is to the stage of business that they're entering into. And many of them hit a little ceiling or a little wall somewhere between 1.5 million in revenue, and they just need to make a transition from like owner operator to capable business building leader. Like it's kind of different. Anyway, so we help those seven-figure business owners or those who are getting close to that figure out how to do the scaling work and the leadership work that will allow their business to continue to grow.
Fantastic. And Brett is joining us as a speaker for Let's Grow Summit this year. He'll be having a session on turning business owners into business leaders at scale. But for today, he's going to teach us about the stages of small business growth.
That's right. So I talked about the seven-figure stage, if you will, but there are lots of stages of small business growth. And you know this very well because this concept actually came out of Keap. And my business, the Elite Entrepreneurs business, was born inside of Keap. So this isn't my original content. It actually comes from Clayton Mask doing some really in-depth is the right term, in-depth research of Census Bureau data to study the number of small businesses in the US and how many were at kind of each stage that I'll review. And so it's my privilege to share it, but this is should be pretty familiar territory for anybody in the Keap ecosystem. So there are these stages of growth that happen. They happen to coincide with the ones and threes of revenue. And so I'd like to explain what that means for just a second. Um, that first solopreneur stage, and you business owners out there listening can kind of remember that. Be glad that it's in your rear view mirror, right? But remember that hustle and grind when it was just you and you're trying to get this thing off the ground. And we call that solopreneur. That's stage one. Well, at stage two, you learn how to sell to get to stage two, and that 100,000 to 300,000. There's that 1 and 3 of revenue I was talking about. That would be stage two, and the focus of that is learning how to master sales so that you can grow past that stage. As a solopreneur, you got to focus on managing your time, and you got to focus on getting enough leads or opportunities to be able to stay alive, right? Keep that business afloat. So we go from solopreneur to now we have this new employers, is what we used to call it, that this stage between 100,000 and 300,000. You've tripled in revenue in that stage. And then you now cross into a new stage. We call it stage three, from 300,000 to a million. There's another tripling. Okay, well, that's the pattern. There's a tripling of revenue before you enter a new stage. So you guys can guess it from here on out. 1 to 3 million is the next stage. 3 to 10 million, back to 1. 3 to 10 million, 10 to 30 million, 30 million to 100. It just keeps going. That every time you triple the output of that business, the complexity, the capacity, etc., you're now entering a new stage. So that natural order of business growth has been very well established. We've seen that pattern over and over again over the last 2 decades of working with small businesses, hundreds and thousands of small businesses, and that pattern persists. And so I don't want to talk the whole time like this, Christina. So let me pause. Let me have you direct me. But that in a nutshell, the stages just refers to the natural stages of growth that businesses grow through, and that every time we triple the output of the current machine, we got to do something with the machine if we want it to grow some more. Otherwise, we kind of max out what we can do.
Yeah, I think it's really good to identify that there are those different stages. I think, as I've heard from my time here at Keap, that there are, you run into certain barriers, and they're kind of classic barriers that we have picked up on and noted as just throughout the years and experience of working with small business owners. And there's like a formula that you've created, and in that pattern identification that helps move those entrepreneurs through those stages. So, what are maybe some signs that someone is, oh, like that one stage entrepreneur moving on to two and two moving on to three? If you can kind of maybe give some people some ideas of how they can recognize that in themselves, and what are maybe the first steps to take someone over those thresholds? What are the things that they need to be thinking about as
Yeah,
they explore those?
great questions. Let's talk first about the hints, if you will, or the evidence that I might be approaching a stage, or maybe I'm bumping up into one of those stage ceilings. And the first one is a revenue plateau, right? Like a ceiling where it's like, man, we were growing, and now we've sort of bumped into something. It's almost like this invisible barrier we can't quite seem to get past. We might do a little bit more, but we start to hit something. And that happens around the 300,000 mark if you're in stage two. And maybe you push your business to 400,000, but there's still something. It's like we did 390 last year, and this year we did 400,000, right? Like technically we grew, but just by a little, and we were sort of bumping up into something. Accompanying that revenue plateau is a personal experience that the business owner or those involved with the business is feeling. That is, like, I'm feeling totally stretched. I'm sort of tapped out or maxed out what I can do. Entrepreneurs are sort of notorious for hustling, grinding, right? Like they're gritty, and that's amazing, and that allows them to get their thing going. But at some point, their capacity is maxed out. So if they're feeling maxed out personally, if their revenue is hitting that invisible ceiling, those are indicators that they might be at one of those stage changes. So yeah, I think you asked, like, what should we be looking for? What could we focus on to do something about that? So let's transition the conversation to that. At each stage, it's a little bit different. So if you're in that 100 to 300,000 range, you really need to figure out how to sell. You don't have to become world-class seller. You don't have to become a ninja sales master, but you do have to learn how to sell enough that you can break through that first stage. And it's not actually the first stage. Solopreneur is the first stage. We're going to leave that behind. But stage two, got to learn how to sell. In stage three, and all of my friends at Keap, the Keepers, love talking about this stage, because the keys here is consistent lead generation and consistent fulfillment of that product or service as we're selling more and more of them, right? If we said we're going to sell this quality of service, and now we're selling 10 times as many as we did before, or 3 times as many as before, if that starts to break our fulfillment machine, we've got a problem, right? So we need consistent lead generation. We need consistent high quality delivery of whatever we're selling. And that's where Keap is amazing, because all of the automation tools, all of the integrations that are possible, like everything to get and serve customers at a higher level is empowered by what Keap can provide with automation. So a lot of our members in the 7-figure range who come talk to us at Elite, they use Keap and they automate things and they figure out how to get their steady operation going. And now they've got to change their attention to things like people and process and leadership and culture and those company building types of things, which is really the work to do when you're in that seven-figure range. So if you're in that 300,000 to $1 million range, I'd really focus a lot of time and energy on mastering the consistent customer or revenue acquisition and the consistent fulfillment of that quality service or that product that you're selling. So that's those are the stages and the things to focus on at those stages.
I love that. Okay, so what can someone do right now today if they start seeing that they are coming up to one of those stage breaks, or they see that in their near future, or they have aspirations to grow their company in that direction where they're having to ask these questions? What's just like, what's a takeaway? Is it something as simple as meeting with your leadership teams at your companies to pull together certain groups of employees to map it out together? Is it a solo session of trying to like fit all of these pieces into the bigger puzzle, or what does that look like? What can someone do today to be able to begin to plan that out for their business?
Yeah, so again, it's very stage specific, right? That would be silly for me to talk about multiple stages and then say, here's the answer, regardless of the stage you're in, right? So in each stage, it's a little different. If you're in that 1 to 300,000 range, you really have to get a good, predictable sales process in place. It's not mastering lead generation, but when you do have leads or you do go out there and hustle and find opportunities, how do we move people through a sales process that's predictable enough to generate the revenue that you need? That's what gets you past that 300,000 mark. And then in that 300,000 to $1 million range, it's going to be all about getting those systems set up for lead generation, getting increasing the capacity to fulfill more for more and more clients or customers. So the thing to be doing is focusing on that key success factor of your stage and knowing I just can't keep running on the treadmill of what I've already created. I've got to step off the treadmill, start working on the business enough to move this forward. So if it's sales help that you need in 1 to 300, that 1 to 300,000 range, go find a sales methodology, go learn it, practice it. If you need some tools or you need to outsource to another group to help you with that, whatever it is, get really clear on your defined sales process, and then fine tune and practice those sales skills until you feel like, okay, I've accomplished that, and you'll see those sales pick up, and you'll see yourself moving into that next stage. If you're having to figure out the stage 3 key success factors, then you might get some help from Keap or a certified partner at Keap to set up your lead generation the right way. You might need some help from somebody who's great at creating happy clients, or creating your perfect customer life cycle or your customer experience. There's people out there who can help you figure those things out. So I guess two things in summary: whether you're in one stage or another, you got to dedicate time to work on it. So there's got to be some working on the business time, and then you need to find the expertise or the help to either learn it or partner with somebody to help you make that happen.
Awesome. And everyone can hear more about this and an expansion on all of that at Brett's session at Let's Grow Summit. Brett, what are other reasons why you think you've been coming to Let's Grow? You've been part of Keap for so long, and you've probably been to every single Let's Grow Summit or Icon or any conference that Keap has had in the past. So let us know why someone should want to come.
Yeah, the thing I love, and I think I missed the very first one. I don't think I was part of the. In fact, I know I was not part of the first one. But since then, I've been to every one, as you've mentioned, and I'm proud to sponsor it this year, and I'm speaking. So like I'm all in on this community. So here's why I think people should attend. Here's why I think they should take their time and do this. I don't know of another place where the understanding of what small business owners go through and what their businesses grow through, so to speak, than Keap and the whole ecosystem. Collectively, there's just not a better group of people, not a better group of small business expertise and capability on the planet. I know there's a lot of people who do good things for small businesses, but this is the place where there's the passion and drive to help small businesses grow. There's the expertise, there's the community. It's just not a better community out there. It's awesome.
I love that, and I will second everything that you just said. So, we're so excited for that summit coming up here in November, and we're so excited to see everyone, and we hope to see you there. And I can't wait to hear your talk, Brett.
Thanks, Christina. It was fun. We'll see you soon.